Alright, this is standard number 12, ratios and proportions. Okay, so in this standard we're going to be talking about solving proportions. When we solve proportions, we are going to be cross multiplying. Okay, so if you want to make a note of that, we are cross multiplying. Okay, so I'm going to look at my first example. In order to solve this example, I'm going to cross multiply. So that means I'm going to multiply 10 times 3 to give me 30. Okay, and then I'm also going to multiply my x times my 5. Okay, so x times 5 we normally just write as 5x. Okay, now we're just going to solve this one-step equation like we normally would. To get rid of multiplication, I divide 5 on both sides. Okay, over here 30 divided by 5 would give me 6. On this side, the 5's cancel out, so I'm left with x. Okay, so my solution would be x equals 6. Alright, let's go ahead and look at example 2. So same thing with example 2. I'm just going to start by cross multiplying. Doesn't matter where we start. I'm going to start with my x times my 12. Okay, x times 12 we just write as 12x. And then I'm also going to multiply 4 times 24. Okay, and then 4 times 24 is going to give me 96. So I'm going to write equals 96. Alright, now I need to solve this equation for x. So to do that, if I have 12 times x, I'm going to divide 12 on both sides. Okay, over here, the 12's canceled out, so I'm just left with x equals, and then 96 divided by 12 is going to give me 8. So my solution would be x equals 8. Alright, let's look at a little more difficult problems. I'm going to do the same things with these types of problems. However, when we have an expression like k plus 6 instead of just k, I'm going to start by putting parentheses around my expression. Okay? So then when I multiply, I'm going to do 8 times all of this, k plus 6. So I'm going to write this as 8 and then in parentheses k plus 6. Because I have to multiply the 8 to all of this, okay? And then equals, now I'm going to cross multiply my 9 times 6, which is going to give me 54. Okay, so now this should look pretty familiar to us. To solve this, I'm now just going to distribute. So 8 times k is going to give me 8k. And 8 times 6 is going to give me 48. So I write plus 48, it's a positive 48, and bring down my equals 54. Okay. Now we're going to solve this just like we've been solving equations, two-step equations. To get rid of a positive 48, I subtract 48 on both sides. Okay. On this side of the equation, 48 minus 48, that's 0, so those cancel out. I'm just left with 8k. And then on this side, 54 minus 48 is going to give me 6. Okay? So then very last step, I just need to divide on each side. I divide by whatever's in front of k. So I divide by 8 on both sides. Scroll down to give myself more space. Alright. On this side, the 8's cancel out. 8 divided by 8 is just 1. So I'm left with k equals, and then we're going to do 6 divided by 8. Okay, it's okay that we get decimals for some of these answers, so I'm just going to write this as 0.75. Okay, so k equals 0.75 would be my solution. Alright, one more problem that we're going to do together. Same thing with this one. Anytime I see an expression like r minus 10, I'm going to start by putting that in parentheses, okay, because we know we're going to have to use the distributive property. And then now I'm just going to cross multiply. So I'm going to do 4 times all of this, r minus 10. So we write that as 4 and then parentheses r minus 10. And then I need to cross multiply over here. Okay, so 9 times r is going to give me 9r. Alright, so now I need to distribute. So I'm going to do 4 times r to give me 4r. And then 4 times negative 10 to give me a negative 40. And bring down my 9r. Okay? Generally, so now I have variables on both sides. I have a 4r on this side of the equal sign, and I have a 9r on this side of the equal sign. Since I don't have any numbers over here, I'm going to bring my 4r over to this side by subtracting 4r. So 4r minus 4r, that cancels, that gives us 0. Bring down our negative 40 equals, and on this side I'm just doing 9r minus 4r. So 9 minus 4 gives me 5, so I'm left with 5r. And then our last step, we need to get rid of that 5 in front of the r. And to do that, we're going to divide by 5 on both sides. Okay, so I have negative 40 divided by 5 over here, and that's going to give me a negative 8. On this side, 5 divided by 5 is just 1. Those cancel out, so I'm left with r. So r equals negative 8, or negative 8 equals r. Alright, go ahead, pause the video, try these 3 problems on your own. When you're finished, unpause it and check your answers. Okay, so we are solving these the same exact way. We're going to start by cross multiplying, so I'm just going to multiply 6 times 5 to give me 30. And then I'm going to do 7 times x, which just gives me 7x. Now this is just a simple one-step problem. I'm going to divide by 7 on both sides. Okay, so over here, 30 divided by 7, that's going to give me a decimal that I'm just going to round to 4.3. And then on this side, 7 divided by 7, that cancels, so I'm just left with x. So x equals 4.3. Alright, looking at example 2, I'm going to, remember anytime that I have this expression like p plus 2, I'm going to put that in parentheses. Okay, and then I'm going to start by cross multiplying. So I'm going to multiply this, all of this, p plus 2 times 4. So I write that as 4 times p plus 2. And then now I need to cross multiply the 3 times 10. And 3 times 10 is going to give me 30. Okay, so now anytime I see parentheses like this, I know I need to distribute. 4 times p gives me 4p. And 4 times 2, 4 times a positive 2 gives me a positive 8. So I write plus 8 equals 30. Alright, now to solve this, I need to get rid of this positive 8 by subtracting 8 on both sides. Okay, over here, the positive 8 and negative 8 gives me 0, so that cancels out. I'm left with 4p equals, and then 30 minus 8 is going to give me 22. Okay, now my very last step, I'm going to divide by what's in front of p, so I'm going to divide 4 on both sides. I get p equals, and then 22 divided by 4 is going to give me 5.5. Okay, so p equals 5.5. All right, last problem. I'm going to start by doing the same thing. I'm going to start by cross multiplying. So I'm going to do my x times my 10. Okay, x times 10 we just write as 10x. And then I'm going to put my my expression in parentheses. So the 2x plus 2 in parentheses. And I'm going to do 6 times all of this, 2x plus 2. So I write 6 times 2x plus 2. Okay? Now, anytime we see parentheses, I need to distribute. On this side, I'm just going to write 10x. Over here, I'm going to do 6 times 2x, which is going to give me 12x. And then 6 times 2, which is going to give me 12. Okay, so I have variables on both sides of my equal sign. I have 10x over here, 12x over here. So I'm going to start by getting my variables on one side. I'm going to move the 12x over to this side. So I'm going to subtract 12x. Okay, so 10x minus 12x gives me a negative 2x. On this side, 12x minus 12x, that's just 0, so these cancel out. So I bring down my positive 12. Okay, and then last step, to get rid of this negative 2 in front of the x, since that's being multiplied, I divide by negative 2. So I would get x equals 12 divided by negative 2, it's negative 6. So x equals negative 6.